this is Cynthia from Cynthia's Creative Craft, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make these cute little spiderweb earrings. And you can do them different ways. You can put stuff like, or beads like I put these little rose flowers on. You can have little butterflies, and best of all, you can even color them too. The possibilities with this is endless. So let me flip the camera around and we'll get started. All right, I got the camera turned around. So here's some examples of what we can make using the spiderweb pattern that I'm going to be showing you. Those are mainly the colored versions. So you can do just a classic white, which these are on our website. And you can add like little accents, like this one has a ladybug. And this one's got like the skull. And you can just do different colors, whatever you want. Alright, so the tools we're going to be needing is 24 gauge, 24 yard beading wire. I got this personally from Michael's. And again, like none of this, all the tools I use, this is what I personally use. So I'm not like sponsored in any way, shape, or form. This is just what I use personally. So it's 24 gauge and 24 yards bead landing beading wire. That's what I'm using. If you have others you want to use, you can. These fine tip needle nose pliers, these pliers, and then some wire cutters. I always recommend going with the kind of thicker metal ones because they do sell ones that are a little bit thinner, but they're cheaper, and I've noticed that it doesn't last as long as these ones do. And then also I've got my little tape measure here as well. That way we can measure stuff out. So let's get going. So we're going to take our beading wire and we're going to do about 2 inches worth. And I found that about 2 inches is about a good length to make these. Anything bigger than that's going to be a little too big. And what I normally do is I cut it off, and then I cut off however many I need. So for each individual spider web, you're going to need 3 of these. So I just line it up just like that. And then I take my wire cutters, and I like to have it like this, not like that to where you can kind of see the insides, but like that. That way whenever you go like that, like you can stop it right there at the bottom. Just a little trick of the trade kind of thing. So there's 1. And number 2. You gotta be careful when you're using these too, because they are kind of sharp. And number 3. Sorry guys, it's been a while since I've done a tutorial. Alright, so I'm going to make 2. I'm going to show you how to do it with where you can make it like this, and where you can just do the regular kind of like that. So I'm going to get 6 of them out. I'm going to make 6. And what I like to do, because I do like making these, I make them all the time on my TikTok shop, at least right now, for the holidays and everything. And I keep over to the side just the extra one of these. That way I can just measure it. I don't have to keep measuring and stuff. So just another thing you can do if you want to. And number 3. Alright, and I'll just keep this to the side. And then we're also going to go ahead and pull out some wire. Now as you're pulling it out, kind of stretch it a little bit and kind of bend just a little bit, just very lightly. That way it kind of makes it a little bit straighter. And especially to start out, you want to start with about 12 to 13 inches of wire. This is what's going to wrap around and create that web look. Now also, I do want to note with this tutorial, instead of putting the web around, you can do something like this also, and just make like a little snowflake. which that, at some point I'm going to make a tutorial for that, so thank you for your patience. Alright, so we got one, and then we'll cut off some more wire for number 2. That way we don't have to stop and do it. Alright, so we got our 2, and I usually just kind of set it to the side. Alright, and then so you're going to take these 3, and what you can do also with the 12, once you have the 12 inches, you can use it to wrap around, or you can cut off just a little bit of excess, probably like another 2 inches for each one, and just kind of use it to, because you're going to wrap these together. So I got just a spare one right here off to the side because I got a bunch of spares. So I'm going to twist it around, and you want to do it nice and tight too. And I usually do it about 3 times. You can do whatever is comfortable for you. Then you're going to take your nails and kind of just gently squish it together. That way it looks nice and neat like that. And you then take your wire cutters and flip them over. And then you're going to cut off the excess wire. Now, one trick of the trade, especially when it's small pieces, I like to put my finger over top. That way it keeps it in there. Or usually it does. And then you're going to go to the other side. Cut that wire. And that's really too small for me to do anything with, so I'm just going to throw it away. And now, what you need the fine tip needle nose pliers for is this part. See how it's got the little pointers right here? So that one I can actually cut off a little bit more, but this one it's about as close as I can get. So you're going to take the pliers and you're just going to gently kind of like squish it down. And kind of rotate it a little bit. It'll take some getting used to. There, just like that. Yep, actually. There you go. Much better. Alright, so I'm going to go to the other side and kind of take off some more of that part. There we go. Caught it that time. And I'm going to take, sometimes you gotta squish it together again. I'm going to take my pliers, just kind of squish. There we go. Alright. Now you've got it like this, and so next what you want to do is you want to try, I always like doing it like this. Just put it on each finger. Of course you're going to poke yourself, just so be careful. But then you're going to adjust ever so gently that part. Try to get it as even as you can. So that needs to go up a little bit more. That looks about even. And then what you're going to do next is you're going to make it into what I call a little snowflake. You're just going to take the extra wire and move it over to the side and do the same with the bottom. That way it makes it into kind of a little snowflake. Now if you don't get this part tight enough, you will have to hold it as you're making the spider web, but if you're able to get it tight enough, it won't move. But you can always use like a soldering iron or like super glue and stuff. Alright, so for this one, we're going to make like this one. Just a regular one, which actually, I might put one of these beads on there. Just to kind of give a little accent, but nah, I won't do that. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to take the 12-inch wire, and you're going to put it behind it like that. And I always like to have my finger kind of behind it a little bit. And as you do it more and more, you'll get better at it. And you'll want to make sure you twist and wrap it nice and tight. I usually do it at least 2 times on the first go. And since it is beading wire, you always got to be careful because it will move and adjust while you're making it. So, and then at this point you can go ahead and cut off that extra little part right there. So I'm going to do that. Go. That off of there. And then next, what you're going to do, now keep in mind as you're going around, these parts will move. The parts to the snowflake, they will move. So you got to make sure you have them where you want them. Keep adjusting them if you need to. I always got to adjust them. I'm going to go to the next one and twist around. One thing I can always say, doing the first one is always the hardest. Getting it started is always the hardest, but once you get it started, so I'm going to adjust that one because I want it about right there. And twist around. You can see it's starting to kind of come together a little bit. And go to the next one, straighten it a little bit, and twist. And go to the next one, and twist. Go to the next one, and twist. And you'll go to the final one, and twist. Now, at this point, what you can do is you can either go up a little bit, like that, and then twist around, and then go around one more time to make the 2 webs, or you can put like a bead up here, so like, you can put like this little butterfly here. And then what I like to do is I like to, when I have these beads, I like, well, you know what, I'll go ahead and do it, just to kind of show you guys. I like to go up and around it, so behind it, and then you're going to go around, just like that. And what that's going to do, it's going to keep the bead in place. That way it's not like going crazy or anything. Alright, then you're going to just keep going around, and twist, go around to the next one. Twist, go around to the next one, and twist, and the next one, and twist, and the next one, and twist, and then you're going to finish it up top. So you should have a little bit of wire left, depending on how much you used when you started out and stuff like that. And so whenever I finish, I always like to have that behind there, that way it looks nice and neat. I always like to twist it around, probably about, which also you can kind of go like that to see like how you want to make it as well, like with the circle part. So just a little bit, and I always tie it around about 3 times. So 1, 2, 3 to make it nice and tight and kind of finish it off. So here's what it looks like so far, and then there's the back as well. So it goes up the back, so it kind of looks like it's caught in the web too. Gives a nice little accent. Now with these parts, what we're going to do is we're going to use these pliers to make loops. That way you can attach them to like earrings, you can put them on like a split ring. I don't use jump rings. Jump rings are trash. I prefer split rings because I actually did test out one time with jump rings with my pearl bracelet actually before I ever posted it on my website, and within 2 weeks just from the jump rings it broke. So that's why I stick to split rings. But now finishing this off, you're going to cut off the excess wire. And I know what some people that are crafting might be thinking, that is a lot of wire. That's a little bit more than, that is more than 2 inches. It's better to have more and not need it than need it and not have it, because then you're going to be using these to try to force it and whatnot. It's better to have a little bit more. Now, one thing about spider webs, especially, if you ever go outside, you see spider webs. No two are the same. They're all different. They're all unique. Yours will come out unique too. It does not have to be perfect. It's a spider web. It does not need to be perfect. And I will tell you right now, that is what I tell myself every time I make these. I have it going through my head. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a spider web. As long as it's cute, it's fine. And that actually came out pretty cute. Now each side, because again, these are going to be moving a little bit as you go. They're going to be a little bit different, but the top is always going to be a little short, so that's why I prefer the 2-inch, especially when you put beads. So you're going to take these pliers and you're going to turn to the right. Not that way. You're going to go like that. So I like to turn it this way and do like that. Just kind of close it a little bit to make the loop. Just like that. And for these, like, as you get better at crafting and stuff like that, you'll be able to, like, eyeball just how much you need. So you can go ahead and take some off. So I'm going to take some off here. You can do it one by one, or you can do it, like, as you go. Or you can do it just all at once, right? Like I'm doing it right now. So you want them all about even, or as even as you can. It doesn't have, again, it's spiderweb, it doesn't have to be perfect. Even the loops don't have to be perfect. But one thing with these that you got to keep in mind, however thick this part is going to be how big the hole's going to be. So just keep that in mind when you're using these. So I always try to keep like near the tip, kind of just twist, and there you go. And twist. You always want to make sure you close it too. And twist. And close. And twist. And twist. There you go. And this is ready to be put on like a split ring. You can put them on earrings. You can do whatever you want with it. So there's our first one. So now we're gonna do one like this, where it's, or like this, where it's got like the color on it as well too, because you can always put other stuff. Now you don't have to stay specifically with the first one if you want to. Like my personal favorite, I'm actually wearing right now. You can do 2. And you can decide like how you want to do it. You can make it like that, but then you can just turn it. So the possibilities are endless. So now we're going to make one with this color. And I've got these beads right here. You can get them at craft stores. These personally I got at Hobby Lobby. And pour some out. Alright, now we're going to do our next one, and sorry about the lighting, I got my lamp right here. So, we're going to take our extra wire and do the same thing we did with the other one. Whenever I do this, I always like to try to get it kind of as close to like even as I can, that way it's a little less like messing with it. So, I'm going to go a little bit faster on this one just because. So, 1, 2, 3, and twist. Alright. Go, and then we're going to cut the extra part off. That actually might be enough for me to do it for another one, so I'll keep that one. And then the pliers, squish it. If you need to rewind this video, by all means, rewind it. It's going to be on my YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. There we go. much better. All right. Now I'll try to get it about as even as I can. So it does need to go up a hair. And that looks about even. So now we're going to make it into the little snowflake. Alright, now. Ooh, that one actually came out nice and tight. See how it's not moving? So if you're able to tie this nice and tight, like it'll keep in place. At least this part won't. Like it won't be falling over like the other one did. Alright, now what we're going to do, since we're making it colored, we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to put a bead on first, and then we're going to wrap around. Because what that's going to do is going to create a better space, much easier and stuff, and it looks a little bit cleaner. And plus, you got to fill a spider web. And I got my other 12-inch wire. Now this one I would recommend doing 13 inches, especially if you're a beginner, like putting bead, like making it into a colored one, just so you have more than enough room. And then I'm gonna twist one and two, and a squish. We're gonna cut that off. There we go. All right. And then that's gonna go at the top of that. All right. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna put one of these beads onto here, because again, this wire is part of the spider web, so you want to make sure it's on there. And then sometimes with this beading wire, it's super easy to get like kinks and stuff. So one trick of the trade I always like to do, and you can use it as well, I take my pliers and I just gently close them. Just like that. See how it kind of, and it straightens it out a lot better. Sometimes you gotta do it more than once, because it likes to be stubborn, but there you go. All right. Oop, must have loosened it a little bit. Messing with it. All right, and then, now that you got that on there, you're gonna take another bead, and you're gonna put it on here, because you gotta fill these up too. And then you're going to take your wire and make sure this is where you want it as well, same as the other one. And then you're going to twist just like that. And you're going to do that all the way around. All the way around. So we're going to do another bead. Just like that. We're going to go to the next one and then adjust this one. Put another bead on. And then we're going to twist around. Just like that. You can see it's starting to kind of come together. You're just going to do that all the way around. So I'm not going to like monologue or anything, I'm just gonna do it just to kind of save a little bit of time. Now, when you first start doing this, it will take some time to get used to, because it's something new, it's intricate, especially if you're using beads and stuff. And I know there was definitely trial and error with getting the amount, like the sizing right for me. There's definitely trial and error on that. Oh, there we go. Much better. But you just got to figure out what works for you and what your vision is, like what you're trying to do and stuff like that. So the first time I started making these, it took about a half hour just to make one. I've got it down to about 10 to 20 minutes. So as you do more and more, and especially if you're not like making tutorials and stuff, or like showing people how to do it, once you're in your work mode, so to speak, you can make more. Now, on some parts, you'll see there's a little bit of a bigger gap, so you can put, it's okay to put 2 beads on here. Again, it's a spider web, it doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes there's one spot, sometimes there's multiple where you'll put 2. Just like that. And sometimes, because I always try to eyeball it if I can, sometimes like I'll put it on there, but then I'll put this bead on, and then I'll be like, oh, well, I gotta take this one off, otherwise it'll look funky, and that's okay too. That is okay. Alright, now for this last part, we're gonna end it right here. And that should be able to do too. Now the only thing is, for this one, you're not going to put a bead yet. You're just going to tie it off, kind of thing. And go like that. And then just tie it off. Now, at this point, you can put like a little skull bead, you can put ladybugs, you can put butterflies, roses, whatever you want on there. Just be mindful of the size of the bead. But if you're just doing just the color, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do like how we did this one, put the bead on and then do the wire in the back. Or you put the bead on, you clip this, put the bead on, and then go to the top. I like to wrap around the wire just so it's less that I'm cutting and stuff like that. So I'm going to put a bead on. And then just, I try to get it thin, so line it up like that. Get that down there. And just kind of do it in the back. And twist. So that's what I personally do, just because I don't want to cut. What that does, again, it creates that space. That way you've got plenty of room. And it doesn't come out awkward, like, where's that other one that I tried to do? I don't know. Well, there's one. Oh, there it is. This was like one of my first designs. And it got me like, I would end and stuff like that right there. And then I'd go up and it just all, so it took me a bit to figure out how to do this. So, but once I got it, I got it. And anything with crafting, you're always learning new things. So you always got to stay on the positive. Now for the second part, I will be honest, most of them will use probably at a minimum 2 beads just because of it's a bigger gap. Some of them will use 3 beads, and that is okay. Put them on there, just like that. And we're going to do literally the same thing around. Same thing we did for the start. Put bead on, and I always do just 1 bead, that way you have more than enough to like make the loop and stuff. Because, yeah. And twist. Alright, so I'm not going to have you sit through all this. I'm just going to go ahead and pause it, and then I'll come back to it when I'm at this last part, okay? Alright, we're back. So, went all the way around. Now this one looks like it's definitely going to be 3, so I'm going to kind of twist it a little bit. That way it makes a nice little circle. 1, 2, and 3. This one might actually need 4. Yep, it needs 1 more. Now for this last one, you're not going to put a bead up here. So I just got to say that and I have to always remind myself that too, because you get so used to put a bead, then put a bead, then put a bead, then put a bead. You think that you're going to do it again, and then you're like, oh, I don't need to do that. So then you're going to twist. 1, 2, 3. That way it's nice and tight. And here's how it came out. Actually came out nice. You're going to cut off the excess just like the other one. And if you want to, you can squish. I always like to, just to kind of make it look a little bit better. And then just kind of eyeballing these. Take a wee bit off there. And then just a hair off there. Now, one way you can always think to do it is to kind of go like that and then just kind of twist. And that'll show you kind of if you've got enough room and stuff. So, go twist. So you do like that and then just twist. Just to kind of, and it'll show you like where it'll end kind of thing. And twist. And then sometimes these will do it, so I'll just kind of like to straighten them out a little bit. Make it look a little bit better. And twist. Next one. And twist. Oop. One. Too much. Go. Twist. And twist. And there you go. So today we made these 2. And they did come out really good. So now you know how to make it just regular without the stuff on it. You know how to make it with a bead, and you know how to color it too. So if there's anything else, any questions you have, drop it in the comments below. And then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That way you can see my videos and everything. And then thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching my video. And happy crafting!